Today, AI-driven instant software reshapes the attack surface. A SaaS integrator breach ripples into Snowflake customer data theft. New GPU bit flip research shows paths to full system compromise, and Russia-linked operators hijack routers to steal cloud tokens at scale. Also, multiple vendors pushed patches that warrant prompt attention. Welcome to the Cybersecurity Roundup. The themes this cycle are straightforward. Prioritize patching across your estate, and treat state-backed operations as strategic campaigns rather than isolated incidents. Here's what matters and what defenders can do now. First, cybersecurity in the age of instant software. AI is accelerating how software is written, deployed, and discarded, pointing to a future where users summon on-demand apps that live only as long as they're needed. At the same time, AI systems are getting better at finding and fixing vulnerabilities, and attackers, both criminal and government, are using AI to discover and exploit flaws, lowering the skill barrier. This matters because the attack surface will churn faster, code provenance will be murkier, and exploitation capabilities will diffuse. The takeaway for defenders: update development and governance to assume ephemeral code. Require automated scanning and SBOMs even for short-lived builds. Isolate on-demand apps with strict sandboxing and least privileged tokens, and keep telemetry that persists after the software is gone, so investigations aren't blind to transient activity. Next, Snowflake customers hit in data theft attacks after a SaaS integrator breach. Over a dozen companies experienced data theft after an integration provider was compromised and authentication tokens were stolen, enabling access across connected environments. The key fact is the pivot. Tokens issued for trusted integrations became the attacker's foothold, with downstream impact spreading to multiple organizations. This matters because SaaS-to-SaaS trust and OAuth-style tokens are powerful and often under-monitored paths into critical data. The takeaway: immediately review and rotate tokens and API keys issued to third-party integrators, enforce least privilege scopes and short lifetimes, and enable anomaly detection on app-to-app access. Monitor for unusual API calls, high-volume exports, and token use from unfamiliar networks. Reassess vendor access as part of incident response, not just during annual reviews. Third, new GPU breach research enables full CPU privilege escalation via GDDR6 bit flips. Academic teams demonstrated multiple rowhammer-style attacks, codenamed GPUBreach, GDDR Hammer, and GForge, against high-performance GPUs, showing that carefully induced memory bit flips in GDDR6 can escalate privileges, and in some cases, lead to full host compromise. This advances prior work by moving from GPU local abuse to pathways that threaten the host system. It matters because GPUs now power critical workloads, including multi-tenant AI and HPC environments, where untrusted code may share accelerators. The takeaway: treat GPUs as high-value compute with strict isolation, keep drivers and firmware current, enable ECC where available, restrict untrusted kernels on shared accelerators, and monitor for abnormal memory error rates or unexpected GPU workloads. Track vendor advisories for microcode and driver-level mitigations as they emerge, and segment GPU hosts away from sensitive control planes. Fourth, Russia hacked routers to steal Microsoft Office tokens. A state-linked group commonly tracked as APT28 or Forest Blizzard abused known flaws in older, poorly maintained routers to redirect targeted DNS requests and quietly harvest authentication tokens. No endpoint malware required. At peak, the campaign touched more than 18,000 routers, with more than 200 organizations and 5,000 consumer devices identified in the dragnet. This matters because identity is the new perimeter. Stolen tokens can bypass multi-factor prompts and grant cloud access with the victim's privileges. The takeaway: inventory and remediate edge devices, especially end-of-life hardware. Patch or replace unsupported routers, disable remote management, lock down DNS settings, and enforce secure DNS resolution. In identity platforms, shorten token lifetimes where feasible. Monitor for atypical token use, and be ready to revoke and reissue tokens after any suspected network layer tampering. Finally, Russian state-linked APT28 exploits Soho routers in a global DNS hijacking campaign. Since at least May 2025, the group has compromised insecure MikroTik and TP-Link routers, modifying their configurations to conscript them as malicious infrastructure and to manipulate DNS for espionage. The significance here is the scale and the target class: small office and home routers that sit behind remote and hybrid workers, often unmanaged yet functionally part of the enterprise edge. The takeaway: extend corporate security baselines to home offices, require minimum router standards and current firmware for remote access, prefer managed endpoints with secure tunneling, constrain access from unmanaged networks, and consider enforcing DNS resolution through vetted, authenticated resolvers with logging. Egress controls and posture checks can keep corporate data off compromised paths. Across all of these stories, today's patch cadence from multiple vendors underscores a simple point. Timely updates buy down risk before it's exploited. At the edge, in identity, and across accelerators. Prioritize maintenance windows, verify configuration drifts, and keep visibility over identities and integrations. If this briefing helped your planning, subscribe for more calm, actionable updates. Stay patched, monitor your tokens and APIs, and I'll see you in the next roundup.